FenuHealth, for those of you who don't know, was co-founded by teenage sisters Kate and Annie Madden. And I'm really glad to welcome her to the stage because she's going to tell you her story herself. Kate Madden.
So good afternoon and welcome. So my name is Kate Madden and I am the co-founder of FenuHealth with my sister Annie, who's in the front row. So I'm 19 and Annie's 18. And for as long as we can remember, BT have been the sponsors of this event because it's been 20 years. That just puts it into perspective. So you can imagine every student who's walking into this hall, any student who will be coming in with their school or even presenting a project knows it as the BT Young Scientist and Technology Exhibition, not just the Young Scientist or the Aer Lingus, or it's the BT. So what is FenuHealth? We started FenuHealth back in 2015 after we scooped one of the top prizes here. I was doing the junior cert, so I was 14, and Annie was in first year, so she was 13. That puts it into perspective again. And basically, what we did was we found what were horses' favourite flavours. That simple. And when we won our prize in January 2015, it kind of snowballed from there. We ended up going to Germany, making our scientific idea into a business reality, making products. And then I was going into transition year, so I was turning 15, and I decided we're going to expand this to a bigger business. So then we made stomach problem products for horses, so to prevent and cure them. So now we can put FenuHealth into figures. So we were one-time prize winners at the Young Scientist. We're two sisters. We were 3 finalists at the Young Scientist, which shows to never give up because it does come through eventually. We sell into 4 continents. We've 5 royal families as customers. We've got 9 products. We have 9 people working on our team, and we export to 15 countries worldwide. And you might ask why stomach problems in horses. Well, 50% of foals are born with stomach problems, and 70% of all horses have stomach problems. And you'd wonder, why is that? Why is it such a big problem? And that's because back in the day, when horses were in the wild, they would have been eating for 20 to 22 hours of the day. So they rarely sleep, they just eat. And you can imagine the amount of food that was going into the stomach. The stomach automatically generated acid to break down the food. So just by the evolution of the horse, acid never stopped in the stomach, not even for the 2 hours they were sleeping. But then we moved the horses into a stable, where they'd be stabled all day long, may only be eating for 5 hours of the day, which is not unhealthy for the horse. They get the right amount of food, but that leaves 19 or 20 hours of the day with no food in the stomach. So what does the acid break down? It breaks down the stomach. So that's what our products do. They prevent that happening by protecting it. And as a result of that, 90% of race horses or competitive horses who are in yards all year long have stomach problems. So that's why our products are needed on the market. They're also 100% natural, which is great for competitive horses. And it was our 150-second blend that worked. So we always say, what would have happened if we had stopped at 151? And then finally, we have a huge social media standing at the moment because social media is the new technology these days. And Facebook is one of our big things. We use Facebook to interact with our customers, and we use Twitter for sales. So there's one story with Facebook. So when the Tattersalls sales were on, we decided we'd put €4, only €4 of an ad around 1 mile around Tattersalls in Ratoath. And we got 4,000 sales in that one day from that €4. So it just shows how much technology is changing and how you can benefit. And then also, our products are tested to parts per billion. Then we have a few thank yous to say as well. So first of all, BTYSTE. So Shay, Mary Catalan, who might be here, is like our mom, as we call her. She's the mom of BT Young Scientist. Everyone who comes through knows Mary as the mom. So we have to thank her because she was the first person to reply to us to say she would come to our product launch back in 2015. And funny story about the product launch. So back in the day, Minister Coveney was the Minister of Agriculture, and his office is on Kildare Street. Annie and I went to school on Stephen's Green, so it was one stop less than the bus to walk in. So every day, before and after school, we walk into the office, hand in a letter asking Coveney to launch our products. in our school uniforms, me doing the junior cert. And it only took a few weeks until he finally replied to say on the 1st of April in 2015, he was going to launch our products. And it wasn't an April Fool's. Also, we'd like to thank Kevin Stewart, who's here today from Meath County Council, because Kevin was the first person to back us when we asked him to fund us to go to Germany. And he was the first person to reply, of course, no bother. At 13 and 14, it was, anyway, it worked. And then we'd also like to thank the British ambassador who came today, because he's introduced us to, as you can imagine, many people, including the time we met Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall at his residence. We also met Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex when they were over, and then we also met the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. So it's just all the connections that we've made, so thank you. And then finally, our thank you to, you may have heard of Outtakes. Outtakes is one of the largest Irish-American companies, and the co-founder of Outtakes was Dr. Pierce Lyons. And Dr. Lyons sadly passed away just nearly 2 years ago, but he was one of the first people in a large-sized firm to contact Annie when she was 14, to say, he called us on numerous occasions. We may or may not have missed the calls. And he basically cut our costs by 90% over one phone call. And it didn't stop there. I spent 3 months of the summer in Kentucky in the US, which is like the Ireland for horses in America, and by his wife, Mrs. Lyons, to help us figure out how we were going to break into the US. So it just shows all the connections that came out of us being here 5 years ago. Then, FenuHealth has 2 divisions. We've got the private clients, who are like our bulk customers, the big guys with 100, 200 horses, buying stuff every single month. But what we want to do in 2020 is to build up our online network, our online sales and online marketing for the 1 or 2 customers. Because realistically, there's a lot more people out there with 1 or 2 horses than there is with 100 or 200 horses. So finally, what I'm here to talk today about is we're starting up the Irish, British and American Junior Chamber of Commerce. And you might ask why. Well, it comes from this short story about one of the guys we know from Cardiff in Wales called Callum. So Callum has a dog feed business. And he was coming over to Kilkenny for a meeting. He's only 19, so cannot rent a car from the airport because you have to be 21. So he asked us, would you mind sending me the bus and train times to Kilkenny, because I have no idea where that is. And we were like, actually, don't worry about it. Robert, who's also here today, who works with us, said that he would collect him from the airport, bring him to Kilkenny for his meeting while he was doing his other jobs, pick him up from Kilkenny and bring him back to the airport. And straight away, simple idea, and straight away we were like, there's a need for stuff like this between the young connections that we have with Callum. So that's why we started up the Junior Chamber. And the Junior Chamber is mainly to serve people under the age of 23 doing business, but internationally, with real enterprises trading. And the idea of the new chamber is to promote and develop the economic and commercial activity between Ireland, Britain, and America. Because for most young people in Ireland, Britain is our next door neighbour, and America is the place we want to break into next. So in founding the organisation, Annie and I want to support and empower a progressive, dynamic network of members who can confidently drive, champion, and support each other in foreign markets. So the idea is to get everyone to work together from a young age. The membership will be free initially, and FenuHealth will cover all the starting expenses, but the idea is that it would be an easy way for everyone to interact. And we're delighted to say that Shay Walsh, the MD of BT Ireland, has accepted to be our honorary patron for 2020 to try and guide us along the way. And the main objectives of it is to conduct business with people you know from all the markets around the world, to stop mistakes someone else has already made. It's also to simplify international business, protect the environment. So instead of flying halfway across the world to meet someone, why don't you just FaceTime them or Skype them? Because it's the same thing these days. To advise and assist the government on matters to do with STEM and young entrepreneurship, to show them that it is possible, people do it, as you can see from literally just outside these doors. And finally, it's to organise educational and training facilities for the members, so people can be listening to the likes of Shay Walsh talking about ways to combat problems that we might not know how to do. So that's what the Junior Chamber is to do. And to conclude, there's 3 points I want to end on. Actually, 4. First one is, okay, it was Annie's idea for the Junior Chamber. I'll just say it out loud, right? She can take the credit. Number 1 is what Shay said. Definitely try visit the main hall. And not just visit them, go up and actually talk to them. Because when we were, back in the day, when we were presenting and when we had our projects and the judge, everyone was trying to say, the judges aren't there to test you, but at the back of your head you were like, they are, but they weren't. So the idea is to go up and talk to them, but don't tell everyone they're brilliant. Everyone is brilliant, but if you don't have an actual interest in what they're talking about, there's no point in you trying to make yourself interested. So go to projects that you genuinely think you could help in the future and tell them how they're doing and tell them how you actually feel, rather than them thinking, oh, what did he say to you? Oh, he told me I was fat. Oh, same. And then it's just the same for everyone. So to try and make it different. Secondly, help young entrepreneurs, just like Dr. Lyons did. He said, trust me and I will help you. He did, we did, and we ended up here. So do help young entrepreneurs, because they'll take any help they can get at the beginning. And finally, just to remind you, it was our 150-second blend that worked. If we'd stopped at 151, we wouldn't be here, so the key message is to never give up. Thank you.